Hello, I'm Emma B. Perez, life design and career coach for teens and young adults. This Empower Your Teen YouTube channel is all about supporting parents. To learn how your high school or college age child can go from undecided to excited, click the link in the description box. To get even more support as a parent, just stick around by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. Okay, let's get to today's topic. Welcome back to Empower Your Teen. I'm Emma B. Perez. Today, I'm so excited to welcome Cher Olivos, who is a coach for parents and teens and founder of Keen on Teens, a life educating platform. Born and bred in Los Angeles, Cher had a colorful childhood living with over 40 foster children since 1992. Her early exposure to extreme challenges that children, teens, and parents face led her to be that cool big sister and drive for justice, coupled with her extensive experience in risk management and compliance. Cher's mission is to give out life cheat sheets so that teens can get ahead. As a coach to teens, young adults, and parents, her approach is managing future risk in simple, fun, easy-to-remember ways. Her guiding principle is that teens shouldn't have to always learn the hard way, and that it helps to have an elder millennial on their side. Welcome to Empower Your Teen, Cher.
Thank you. Thanks, Emma. So happy to be here.
So I always like to start by asking people if they wouldn't mind sharing their story. So would you mind telling us just kind of how you came to do what you do?
Sure. Again, I've been big sistering for over 30 years. As you mentioned in my bio, in my background, colorful background, and it just molded me into someone who was just like a partial parent, partial guider to a bunch of troubled, complex teens and children. So yeah, being thrown in the deep end, starting when I was 7 and just working to be there and learning, seeing things, seeing all kinds of, different experiences, really just like raised my own interpersonal awareness of how things could be so much better. And what I learned from my siblings is that it helped them so much with whatever they were going through to know that one person, all it takes is just one person to be on their side or someone to be like team them. I might bring up that term again later, but I think there was this quote or study out there that said a teen or a kid can go through so much, but if they have one person that is just like, I have your back, I got you, then they just like feel so much stronger and are able to move forward and have that momentum moving forward. So it did, implant something in me to be like, oh my gosh, our teens, young adults, they need some support. Having that person who believes in you, who you can go to if you need some advice, if you need some guidance, some 2 cents, whether you take it or not. Just knowing that they're team you and they want you to succeed, they want you to flourish and be happy. It just is one of the most impactful things, I think.
Yeah, and it's so amazing too, because that big sister type person or that auntie type person is a really beneficial relationship to have for a young person, even if, parents are around, even if they do have a few people that are on their back, having that unique mentorship can be really beneficial as well. Sometimes, what we say to our kids, they just can't hear. And if somebody else says exactly the same thing, they'll hear it from that other person, right?
Totally. I hear it all the time. Oh, like I told my team the same thing and they won't listen. But yeah, all it takes is maybe another medium. And I feel like I play the role of Robin to Batman, and parents are Batman. Parents, no one's going to be team you to the teen like the parents. But all it takes is maybe another medium, another go-to. So if you think about it, the parents, yes, they're team teens, they're team, people, cheerleaders for their kids. But if the teens are not comfortable going to them for a problem, who are they going to go to? Their friends? And my whole thing is, are they really the best resource? They're either inexperienced or they're probably not going to give the best advice.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So one of the things that I love about you is that you really want to help teens, give them a cheat sheet for life so that they don't have to learn the hard way. I love that so much. Because, I mean, isn't that often the case? Isn't that the way so many people go into life, is expecting to learn the hard way?
Absolutely. Again, I think my background in compliance, risk management, fire drills. There's a reason why we have fire drills. There's a reason why we prepare for worst case. There's a reason why we have emergency food for earthquakes. We don't want these disasters to happen. We don't will them, but it's a just in case. And let's just do a little bit of research. I live in California, so fires are going to be an annual thing. Just takes a little bit of education, know what you need, know where it's going to happen, raise that awareness, just know, all right, in the back of your head, it's a possibility. And then, put your life jacket on or get your water, and then you'll be good. Play it safe.
So this summit this week is all about helping our kids, helping teens, young people make decisions for their next step after high school. What is that very next step? And so there are some families that'll be with us that are, maybe their teen is saying, I think I might want to take a gap year, but their parents always expected them to go straight away to college. And I think it really comes down to sort of, figuring out what it is that they want to do in life. And what I've heard from parents, I've heard this a lot from some parents, is they say, well, you just got to get out there into the real world and start living your life. You can't really know ahead of time what's going to happen. So you just kind of got to get out there and learn as you do. How would you respond to that?
So I even dealt with this with my husband and with like buying a house. Like, oh, let's just buy a house. Let's depend on the real estate agent. They're the specialists, do all that. I'm like, you Google 4 hours just for your new phone, but like the biggest purchase of your life, you're not going to Google. So I'm a big believer in doing your homework. If it comes out of your pocket, if it's your life, there's a responsibility to make the most out of it. And sure, we do learn lessons after falling, but with my risk management background, there are high risks and then there are low risks. So moving forward, not knowing where you're going, that's a somewhat high risk. I think what we can do is do some homework, get a little educated, get your feet wet, sure, but also add to that knowledge bank and then lower your risk a little bit for what decisions, especially as impactful as they are, just helps with like better decision making. And like the path that you're on, it's not going to be a straight line. Sure, you could like go this way, but you really don't want to go all the way this way, only to find out 50 miles in that like, oh, I should have taken that route over there. The reason why we have Google Maps or Thomas Guide back in the day.
Yes, exactly. Since I am, a college and career coach, this is something that I talk about with young people all the time. And I hear, especially when young people come to me, not knowing what they want to do for work, not knowing what they want to major in, most of the advice that they're given is to, well, just go to college anyway and figure out which degree you're going to take after you get there. And I love the analogy that you just brought up about, with your husband wanting to buy a house. He's like, oh, we'll just, we'll let them take care of that and not do any research ourselves. And you were talking about how like high risk that can be. That's the case here too. I mean, the only thing that you can do in college is to try out a bunch of different majors, which is very expensive, right?
Yeah.
That's a very expensive way to figure out what you want to do, because you commit to one, you spend a semester or a year there, and if it's not right, then you change majors. Well, you don't get that time or the money back. So if someone reaches graduation and they're still not sure what they want to do, then maybe just giving a little bit more time to do your background research and to really explore and find a good fit before you commit to the expense of college. That's the way I see it anyway.
Absolutely. Generally, I'm an open person, so I'm going to be totally open. I made that $35,000 mistake. Going to nursing school, I had 9 more months left, only to figure out, you know what, I am decent at it, but it's not what I want to do. So I'm just going to drop the ball and give up. And that $35,000, that was the monetary cost, but the time, the years that I lost, there's inherent cost in there as well. And I totally believe that if I took the time to do homework on myself, my natural talents, my natural skills ahead of time, what is it that I really wanted to do ahead, I totally would have loved to use that $35,000 for something else.
So for some people, for some young people, they know at graduation what it is, which school they want to go to, or which job they want to get, or which degree they want to get. But for some people, they don't know yet at 18, and it can be really scary for them. So just giving them a little bit of extra time can actually lower the risk.
Totally.
Now, there are some people that view college as sort of a buffer between, school and life, or being a child and an adult. And they think of a gap year as just kind of throwing someone into the deep end of life. But I've known other people who see gap year as a buffer between high school and college. What do you think?
The personality of the teen and what they do that year. For someone who has that momentum, they need to just keep going on that marathon. But then for someone who is still unsure and also not very knowledgeable about the direction that they're going, to be completely honest, they could go like 2 separate routes. Worst case, play video games all day, do nothing that year, fall down like a deep, dark path, or do some homework, do some volunteering, work at a job, get a feel of like what it is that they like, especially if they have numerous talents. If they're a multi-potentialite, the term that you taught me, where they can be a jack of all trades, you know what, there's a lot that they do well, but like, what is it that they do like, or what would work for them right now at this age? That takes a little bit more homework, because, it can make your decision a little bit harder because there's so much they can do well. So it's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, so it really depends on the child and their direction. And I like how you were talking about risk management before. If you look at what the worst case scenario is and what the best case scenario is, you can kind of prepare for either one, or find something to keep you away from the worst case scenario. What does your child need to make sure that they don't get off track or something like that?
Yeah, know what's possible. Mm-hmm. I think it's definitely helps know what's possible worst case, know what's possible best case. But the key word is know what's probable, especially if you put your effort and drive into something. That means like, what's the likelihood of it happening? Sometimes we scare ourselves where worst case scenario, we think it has a highlight.
So I just lost you there a little bit again, but it sounded like where you were going is that to know the likelihood, right? Just because there is a worst case scenario doesn't mean you should totally avoid that. You should also assess if it's very likely or not. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. I think, we hear a lot of advice about, well, it depends on the person and what's really right for your kid. But I like how you brought in the perspective of sort of this risk management and figuring out, well, what's probable and what's likely, and, what's the worst case and what's the best case scenario, and what are the things that you can do to prevent the worst case. I really love that. So thank you for that. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Emma.